This is Kim from EnglishWithKim.com. I am your guide to advanced conversation skills to help you sound more natural and sound more like a native speaker in English. Today, I am back with yet another lesson on politeness because there are so many things you can say about politeness that help you understand the way that native English speakers talk, why we use certain expressions, why we use certain forms of speech in order to express ourselves and sound a little more polite in English. I think this is the 5th video in the series where I am talking specifically about politeness. So today I am going to be talking more about politeness, but I'm going to be talking about using specific polite expressions that we use that look like they're in the past. Before I start talking about these expressions, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about why we would use these special forms of speech. And so, as I've said before, we use these different forms of speech in order to soften or tone down our language. And this is how native English speakers show that they're considerate of other people. Because sometimes when we state our opinions too directly or we make requests that are incredibly direct, it sounds a little demanding. So these expressions help soften our language, tone down our language, even while making a clear request. And this is part of native speech, so even if it feels a little uncomfortable to you, you're going to notice that native English speakers expect to hear you use this language, and so they'll receive your requests a little bit better. So that's why I continue to share with you the secrets to using these polite expressions so that you can feel a little more comfortable making your requests in English. And today it's nice because we're talking about requests, but we're also talking about invitations. So if you want to suggest something to someone else, but you don't want to be too direct, you feel a little embarrassed, you're afraid they're going to say no, these polite expressions are perfect for you. And the other thing we're also going to be talking about a little more is stating preferences. So these are conversations you can have when stating preferences for lunch with your coworkers or colleagues if you're going to share lunch together, or even with your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your friend, your roommate. You're going to be able to state preferences in a way that sounds a little more like a native English speaker. So like I said, these expressions distance or remove ourselves from our opinions. So what does that mean? Sometimes when we state what we want a little too clearly, in some languages that's completely normal, but in English we tend to be a little more hesitant or a little more tentative in what we have to say. And so we call this hedging. This is saying, this is kind of what I want. And it's the reason that we do that is we want the person to feel like there's an ability for them to say no. So the expressions I'm going to talk about today look like past expressions because they use past tense forms, but they actually have nothing to do with the past. These are just polite expressions that native English speakers use in order to express what they want and what they'd like to invite you to help them with, or invite you to do with them. So let's talk about most of these expressions, as you'll see in just a moment, use the past continuous. And the reason they use the past continuous is that the continuous form of the verb implies that this thought is not over. When we use a simple form of the action is completely over. So there's not as much flexibility in what we're saying. There's not as much flexibility for the other person to share their response, to share their own opinion, or to have an opinion about the invitation. So the continuous form, because it's a little more open, it's a little more flexible, it allows the other person to respond the way they want to respond. It makes them feel like they're included in the discussion, they're included in the negotiation, and it gives them a chance to talk a little bit more about what they want. That's why you want to use these continuous forms, and that's why the majority of expressions are in the past continuous. A couple of them are in the simple past, and that's because some of them are not able to be used in the progressive, so we have to use the simple past. But by removing our opinion into the past, it's a little softer than the present, and by removing it into the past continuous, we're even more flexible because it's something that happened, a thought that occurred to us in the past. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. Like using the past kind of says to your listener, hey, it's okay if you have to say no. So if you're making a request, you're asking for a different color, you're asking for something that might not be on the menu, whatever it is, using the past continuous tells the other person, don't worry, it's okay if you have to say no, because this is something I thought of in the past. It was a passing thought, something that came up to me in the past, and it doesn't really matter right now if it's not possible. It creates a little more flexibility in what you have to say. So if you're making an invitation, oh, I was wondering if you wanted to go with me. Well, you were wondering in the past, so the person doesn't have to feel guilty if they have to say no. It's a nice way to let the other person know that what you're saying is actually a little more flexible than your absolute opinion and what you really want and need right now, which is a little too much for us to hear sometimes. That's just how it is in English. And the last thing I wanted to say is that, yeah, it allows the other person to say no if they can't help you, can't accept the invitation, or if they want to negotiate a little with you. So this is really useful in business negotiations as well as personal situation. Really important, although it looks like these are past expressions, they actually have nothing to do with the past. A native English speaker hears the past expression, but they don't hear it as the past. Why is that? That's because there are no other past tense markers in your statement. You could potentially use the past in your embedded question or what comes next, but you can also just use the present tense. There's no other past tense markers, so they know that what you're expressing that you want is happening right now and happening right now in the present. The native English speakers don't hear the grammar, they just hear the distancing of the request. They hear that you're being polite. So I hope that helps you understand why we're going to use expressions that look like the past in order to express politeness. And so we have a number of past expressions here. We have them for requests, invitations, and preferences. So we have wanted to know, ask, check, say, confirm, etc. So wanted to know, wanted to ask, wanted to say, these are all ways of hedging what you're going to say so that you sound a little bit more hesitant in what you're about to say. And so then we also have hoped and thought, right? Oh, I thought you might want to join us. These are some other expressions that just use the simple past tense. But here are the ones that I really want to focus on today. We have was or were wondering, was or were hoping, was or were thinking, was or were considering, was or were assuming, and was or were looking for. So as you see with these expressions, they often begin with so these are expressions that we use before stating the rest of what we want to say. And I've already gone through the explanations about why we use these expressions, so I'd really like to look at some more examples. But these past expressions tell the other person that you're not exactly sure what you... Sorry, lost my train of thought. Live video. They tell the person that you're not sold on what you have to say, so that you're allowing them some ability to say no or to give an honest response to what you have to say. So let's take a look at the examples here, and I'll show you how they work in different situations, because like I said, this can be used for requests if you're asking for something. They can be used for invitations if you want to ask somebody to join you with something or want to invite them to do something with you. And they also can be used for preferences if you want to express something in some sort of negotiation or some sort of situation with a friend or family. So here we have the examples. I wanted to know if you have this shirt in blue. So I wanted to know if you had this shirt in blue. Maybe the one you're holding is red, but you wanted to know if the shirt was in blue. Is the wanting to know actually in the past? No, but this expression is a way of introducing your question. Do you have this shirt in blue in a more polite manner? Because you're basically telling the person, hey, maybe you don't have this shirt in blue, but it's okay for you to say no. I just wanted to know if you have this shirt in blue. So the person who's answering you doesn't have to feel any sort of guilt or feel a little sad about the fact that they can't say yes to you, especially in a service setting. So that's why we use politeness with these particular people in a service setting. We thought you might want to come with us. There's an invitation. It's a joint invitation. So maybe you're a couple or a group of friends and you're inviting someone else to join you. We thought you might want to come with us. It's a way of suggesting that they should join you in what you're doing. And if you notice here, we're using might. You might want to come with us. A few lessons ago, I talked about using the modal verbs in order to connect to soften your language a little bit more and connect it to a more polite way of speaking. So you might want to come with us. You're basically telling the person by using the past expressions and by using the modals that it's okay if they have to say no. It's okay if they're not able to come with you. Our next example here is I was wondering if you had any availability next Thursday. I was wondering, right? I'm not still wondering, even though you're still wondering. I was wondering if you had any availability next Thursday. So you're basically telling the person that you're trying to request an appointment from, or somebody, or your boss, or somebody that you want them to say yes, that it's okay if they have to say no, and that you're open to more negotiation. You're opening to them saying no, offering another suggestion. And so I was wondering shows a little more hesitation, and shows that you're a little more tentative about the suggestion. You're throwing a suggestion out there, and they're welcome to respond in any way that they have to. Another example, we were thinking of releasing the product in May. So this is a perfect example of something you could use in a business situation. We were thinking of releasing the product in May. If you say we want to release the product in May, you're not offering any sort of option for negotiation. You're saying that the decision is already made. But we were thinking of releasing the product in May basically is providing a way to start. So this is something that you can start talking about and negotiate if need be. Maybe they'll agree with you, maybe they won't agree with you, but you're saying we were thinking of this just as a place to start, and then you can continue the negotiation. I was considering ordering Thai food for dinner. So maybe you're suggesting this to your roommate or your partner, your husband or your wife, even your kids, I don't know. And you say, I was considering ordering Thai food for dinner. Maybe somebody else wants Mexican food, or they want Italian food, or they want pizza, or they want hamburgers, or there's all kinds of options for food. But I was considering doing this, is suggesting it to the other person and giving them space in order to answer how they would like, what they would like in this circumstance. So those are a few examples. Let's talk about some other examples. I was assuming you weren't interested. By saying, somebody says, hey, you didn't tell me about this, but I wanted to go. And you can say, I was assuming you weren't interested. That gives them a chance to tell you how they really feel. So you're just stating your it's kind of a negative way of stating a request, but they're able to respond to you and give you an opinion about what they actually want or what they actually feel. I was looking for, right? If you're in a store and someone asks you, hey, hi, how are you? How can I help you? You could say, oh, I was looking for some new shoes. And then they're able to help you with the new shoes. But you're implying, oh, yeah, I was just looking. It's not so serious. So that if you decide not to buy the shoes, you don't have to feel guilty about it, because you just said, I was looking for some new shoes. Not that I need some new shoes. I want some new shoes. I was looking for some new shoes. And then they can make suggestions and join you in this conversation. Couple of other examples. I was thinking that we should take some time to think about this idea before making a decision. Look at all that hesitation I just included in that one statement. I was thinking that we should. I was thinking that we should think about it, right? You're using all kinds of different expressions in order to show the person that you're not entirely sure, but this is what you have in mind. So you're stating a request, you're stating a preference, you're stating your opinion without being too direct or too demanding with what you have to say. Let's talk about a couple more invitations. Oh, I wanted to ask if you were available on Friday. Let's go to dinner, right? Oh, I wanted to ask. So you're accepting that the person might say no, and you're giving them the space to say no, as if that's what they actually have to say. But you're saying, oh, I wanted to ask, I wanted to say that I loved your performance, instead of making the person feel a little embarrassed about your opinion. And you're saying, oh, I just wanted to say this, right? It's something that occurred to you in the past, and you're having a chance to say it right now. I wanted to confirm the time of my appointment. So maybe you think it's a little annoying to call up and make an appointment and then confirm it again, but you just want to make sure the dentist did not forget your appointment. I wanted to confirm my appointment. You're letting the person give you a chance to confirm, and also respecting the time that it takes for them to do that. So I hope that these examples give you a little bit more of an understanding. As you can see, these expressions have nothing to do with the past. These are expressions that have everything to do with the way that you're trying to have the other person hear you. So hopefully this lesson was clear. Hopefully you enjoyed learning a little more about how to use these expressions. I really challenge you to start using I was wondering, I wanted to know, I was hoping, whenever you have to make some sort of request. And if you have any questions about embedded questions, I actually have a audio lesson and a a text lesson on my website, englishwithkim.com, describing how to use embedded questions in more detail, because they're incredibly common in English and they're actually more common with native speakers. So you want to learn how to make these requests in a really polite way. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I am going to end it now, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. This video will also be posted on YouTube, so hello if you're watching me on YouTube. And I will be back next Monday with another live lesson. And as I mentioned, on September 7th, there will be a live webinar, a live workshop on politeness. And I'm going to talk about 10 ways that you can sound more polite in English and describe them. So I will be sending out a link to that soon. Make sure, if you haven't already, that you sign up for my mailing list. I'm going to provide a link in the bottom of this video, and then you can just go there, download my small talk guide, and you'll get on the mailing list. So thank you so much for watching. I love teaching these live lessons, and I hope to hear from you soon. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.